everyone, welcome back to Kevin Reviews. I just finished rewatching The Perks of Being a Wallflower. This is by Summit Entertainment, a company by Lionsgate. This is directed and written by Stephen Chbosky, who also is the author of the book of the same name. The cast includes Logan Lerman, Emma Watson, Ezra Miller, Dylan McDermott, Kate Walsh, Paul Rudd, and Joan Cusack. Um, I this is a special review I'm kind of doing here, so bear with me. But I remember I had no idea initially. This was in 2012. I was still in college. Um, I was like, I took community college and then I went on to, a 4 year college. But I remember my dad wanted to watch this movie with me, and and I had no idea what I was getting into. It looked like, and it sounded like. I think even from the trailer, it it seemed like your typical average teen type, comedy movie. Um, but I don't know. I don't exactly remember the trailer, but I remember my dad brought it up. It was something he wanted to see. Rotten Tomatoes really gave it like a really good score at the time, and I really had no idea what I was getting into. Um, I mean, that's pretty much the gist of it. I didn't know what I was getting into, but a couple trivia facts is that I did know later on after rewatching this movie was originally this was a work in progress till it was even thought that it was going to be directed by John Hughes, who you might know from Home Alone and The Breakfast Club. He was going to turn this into a dark comedy at one point, but after his sudden passing, it went back. Stephen Chbosky took up the reins to basically do it himself. This is an independent film, so it's not. Um, I don't know how widespread release it was, but it wasn't there wasn't like a lot of times or compared to the typical Hollywood, anything Disney or anything like that. It was completely independent. So I've seen plenty of independent films, not a ton. I mean I said plenty. I have seen enough independent films to know they were good. Oftentimes they don't stick with you, though. I mean, they're really good at the start, but oftentimes, but other times it just kind of comes and goes pretty quickly. So, and there's the thing, because after I saw this, and to be perfectly honest, I even after rewatching it, my reaction is the same. Um, so, which is why I will go into my review of The Perks of Being a Wallflower. So, the story in The Perks of Being a Wallflower is there's not really kind of a story. This is a coming of age story that focuses on Charlie Gomekis. I hope I pronounced the last name right, but played by Logan Lerman, who is a new freshman in high school, who we know little about, but he there was something happened in his past um, that he's very shy. He's an introvert. He keeps himself shut in. He kind of just observes, doesn't really participate. But he's also suffering through some mental issues. Like there are times where he may black out or um, see images in his head. There's something going on that he's working through. Um, he decides to basically get out of his comfort zone and try to participate in things. He soon meets Sam and Patrick. Sam, played by Emma Watson, and Patrick, played by Ezra Miller. They're both step siblings, and they're very enthusiastic. They live like free spirits, and they don't care that they're kind of considered outcasts or as one line Emma Watson says, the island of misfit toys. They just don't care. I mean, I'm sure some way they do, but I think overall they don't care how how they're treated or how they looked at. They're just being themselves and they love themselves. They're seniors, by the way. So Charlie makes friends with these seniors, and over time he starts to get a little bit more out of his comfort zone, but still kind of that same shyness and, reserved, more caring about people's happiness than his own. And yeah, this and at the same time he's still dealing with whatever mental issues that he's going through. So after I think that's as far as I'll go in terms of the story. But when I first saw this, and even after I saw this film recently, it's I will say, if you were to ask me what my favorite film is, I wouldn't be able to tell you because there are so many that I have seen that could qualify as my favorite film. But the one that often pops up is The Perks of Being a Wallflower. This movie, I would often say, is one of my favorite movies, is or if not my all-time favorite movie. And there's a reason, I think, and I hope I make sense on the reason. But a lot of it has to do with the directing, the active performances from our three teens. Actually, they're 20-year-olds, but they easily pass as teen. Even Emma Watson, uh, has this is her first role post Harry Potter, and I don't know if this is Ezra Miller's first performance, but this was. I think I even read Ezra Miller, who did very well in this film, that even Zack Snyder considered him for to play the Flash later on. But I think what I really enjoy about this movie is how the look, the 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 feels, the emotion, the nostalgic, even because this place takes place in the 1990s, the early 1990s, I believe. Um, and it was so yeah, it was so nostalgic. Granted, I was really young in the 1990s, so I don't all fully remember a lot of things back then, but I did grow up in the 90s overall. Um, and it felt like home in a way. It felt like it was the good times. Often people like to say the 90s are the best, and in a way I would agree, but obviously other people has their generations and how they grow up and how they think theirs is the best, despite whatever happens in the during that their periods of time. And I think what I really like is how almost I think it in a way connects to me regarding Charlie as a wallflower. Granted, a lot of what happened to Charlie is is not like uh, is very dissimilar to me. I mean, whatever, but I don't know. I think around. I don't know if I was technically would consider myself a wallflower back in high school, but I don't know. I remember getting picked on a lot as a kid. But I did eventually got had friends. I had friends growing up, junior high and high school, and that was fine. Um, I didn't really get out much. I think it was like I stayed in school. I tried to work hard as best I could, um, even with my faults. Like I procrastinated a lot, but I try to get by. But I don't know, and I'm sure my friends might be watching this and probably consider thinking that, oh, you were not a wallflower, and that I it's possible. Um, I could be wrong entirely, but when I saw this in college, I did start to feel like I kind of was. I really wasn't like in college. Wasn't really going out and exploring new things. It was just still the usual, go to classes, come back home. I was still uh, living with my parents at one time. One of my parents actually, and and it was just kind of this rinse and repeat thing. I didn't really like go out to parties that much. I didn't, do anything. And the film does show stuff that's happened like during, um, you know, going to what it's like going to parties. There's some alcohol or some drug in this. I heard this film actually was going to be a rated R film at one point, but they wanted to scale back to PG-13. So um, it would feel like it was for everyone, and I'm glad they did. Um, I mean, would it be great that they push boundaries? Sure, but I think the author, director, writer, wanted to keep it for everybody and to make it feel very special. At least in my opinion. Let's. I'm sorry. I'm probably going off on a tangent here, but Um, let's go on to characters. I love Charlie. Charlie is a great character and is presented is the performance from Logan Lerman is the best I've seen him in. You really do get to feel the inner his. There's a lot going on in his life, or how he feels, or how he's worried about people. Whatever he's saying, how to offend people or be judgmental, even though he wants to be. He he oftentimes in the film it's done through narration, like he's talking to a friend, but we don't know his friend necessarily, but the friend could also be us. Like we're going to experience his life as he narrates it, because he wants to be a writer. That's one thing. So it's almost like we're reading his story, one of his books, um, as a book. We see him have a good relationship with the his teacher, played by Paul Rudd. And I will say, when I saw this with my dad had a pretty good man crush on Paul Rudd. I don't know exactly why, but I think many people did have a man crush on, or had a crush or a man crush on Paul Rudd, and there's a lot of good things about that. It doesn't go that far. I will say it doesn't go that far between just completely teacher student relationship, platonic, nothing more than that. So that's the movie. I don't know about the book necessarily, but because I haven't read the book. Regardless, the I love Charlie. I like his interactions with the teacher, with Sam and Patrick. They're both great characters as well. Um, they're both have like the same energy. Um, you know, I think this is the best performance I've seen from Emma Watson and Ezra Miller. In my opinion. Um, I I gotta pause. Sorry. Yeah, sorry. But yeah, I like Emma Watson as Sam. She's and Ezra Miller as Patrick. It tackles stuff about relationships, about coming out, you know some prejudices about relationships, especially gay relationships. Um, especially in the '90s, because at the time it wasn't well accepted, or um, even then. So it was definitely hard. Um, um, I like the what they do and their life. It's almost like I kind of want to be there with them because they seem like great people. They have, if you're a Rocky Horror fan, they do love Rocky Horror, and there are only two moments where they actually do Rocky Horror, and it's entertaining enough. And granted, back then, in terms of Rocky Horror, I've seen Rocky Horror Picture Show before. I remember not liking it at first, but then I rewatched it later on, and it got better. But I know it's off topic here, but just kind of explaining that. I mean, when I originally even saw it this movie, I wasn't sure if I was digging the Rocky Horror stuff because the the clothing, or the way how it's presented. But I think over time I've grown to accept it, and and like it, maybe even love some of it. So, but yeah, there's a lot to like. I love the writing. I love the the nostalgia, the lighting that it made it feel like at times it's all colorful and welcoming and happy. Other times it's somber. It's using like low key lighting or with or using orange that feels nostalgic but feels dark and somber. Um, there's some pretty sombering music. That's another thing. The music is really good too. Um, it's one of I think my dad's favorite when it came to music. He's always been a music buff, just more than I think a movie buff, where I'm more of a movie buff, or I really do love movies. But he's often introduced me to a lot of music. Most of the music I didn't always get into, but he really loves music. And even times there were times I even introduced him to music that he's never heard before, and it was so wonderful that he enjoys it. Um, but I also appreciate because some of the music that I like came from him. Him and I would even say my mom, like Johnny Cash, Bon Jovi. I'm trying to think of Gordon Lightfoot. There's some good music. The Who's another good one. AC/DC. Um, so there's quite a lot that I really loved about this movie, and it was one of these movies that made me happy. It made me laugh. The writing is the line. Some of the lines are quotable. At least two of them that I know that are very quotable. That are so poignant and so meaningful. Um, I won't say him here because I think it's best if you do see this movie. If you have not seen this movie, you do see this movie because it makes it feel like you get it, you understand it. It it it's not great. It's not always great quotes, but it's like in a sense like you wish it could be you know a quote that makes you absolutely happy or stuff. But it's like it's that fine line I think that makes it more meaningful. It just feels like a genuine film. It's almost like I'm watching this life of Charlie rather than I'm watching a film. It feels so genuine and impactful. Um, Watching how this character is trying to go through life, trying to be better than himself, but facing all these struggles that he's going through. Um, Whether it's mental illness, trauma, abuse, um, and the thing is though he's despite all his good things he is prone to make mistakes because there's a moment that is very cringeworthy. I couldn't even look at it when he did it because it was so cringy. But um, yeah, if if there are stuff I didn't like about the film or that I have some nitpicks, I guess maybe I wish the family could have been explored a little bit more, and maybe that's because it's I don't know how long the book is, but I would like to have seen more of the family involvement and stuff. I'm glad they kept certain things close to home because but I I don't know. I don't really have a lot of problems with this film, and maybe there is problems that frankly isn't as prominent or whatever. But um, sorry, I just want to go through my notes to see if anything else. But yeah, I also like the editing. The editing's good. It doesn't. There's not a ton of editing, but there's times where it it likes to cut through showing how Charlie like through certain flashbacks. Um, there's a point where he starts having certain breakdowns. Um, I remember the endings near the end, especially. It made me cry. Um, but yeah, um, before I go into my rating, I think I'm ready to go to my rating now. But I'm actually going to um, talk about something that is not easy for me to talk about. I don't think. I mean, I don't know, but here goes. So this day that I'm releasing this video is important because, like I said, I saw this with my dad. Um, and while this film came out, I think in August, when we saw the film together, I remember looking at him and seeing him cry, um, as well as happy and laughing at the same time, just like me. And I think we found our favorite, our movie, and it was that meaningful, to both of us. Um, I don't know if he ever got the book. I certainly wish I got the book. I need to get the book. I think, though I'm not sure if I want to because the movie's special to me. Um, but this came out in 2012, and about a year later, I found out my dad had cancer, and he had a couple types of cancer going on. I didn't know how serious it was. He wouldn't tell me. My dad's not a perfect person. He often likes to keep things shut in, similar to kind of, I guess, how Charlie does it. Likes to kind of keep quiet and, you know, shut in. Other times he's tries to be more outspoken and, like he even makes jokes, but he's often the jokes poke fun at people, or he pushes buttons way too hard that it hurts. And I wasn't a fan of it, but it was him. It wasn't likely it was going to change, but still, he and I had a really great relationship when it came to our interest and stuff. Um, and he was always there. He was always very helpful. Um, but I found out he had cancer, and then I had to take, you know, couple dial back on my college classes, and I took care of him along with my mom, who helped take care of him for a few years. Then one day in 2015, I know this is so many years ago, but still, um, he had pneumonia, and he didn't want to be in the hospital. And I took him home one day. I and I kind of wish I did, because the next day I thought everything was fine because his fever broke. I was playing video games at one point, and sometimes my dad would like to play these jokes where it was, again, I won't go into it because I think it's pretty kind of cool, but it's just his way of going through things and whatnot. But he called for help at one point. I didn't respond till maybe about 4 or 5 minutes later because I thought that was what he was going to do. He was going to play a joke. When I eventually reached him, he wasn't breathing. Um, I was in a panic. I went to my mom to wake her up to call the 911, and 91 the person on the other operator told me to do chest compressions, and that's what I did. I did chest compressions, and I was really freaked out. I was trying to stay calm, and I did chest compressions till the EMTs arrived. They did, and they took him to the hospital. And by the time I reached the hospital, they said once he got there, he passed away. Um, so I was really broken up by this. Um, for a while, and I think even today, I did feel like it was my fault that I didn't respond sooner, that I didn't save him. But there couldn't be anything I could do. I don't know. I'm probably not saying it right. Um, but the other thing is that as I'm releasing this today, he passed away in early February. His his funeral was on the Valentine's Day. I mean, we it was planned, um, and I was okay with it. Still, it's whatever. And then his birthday would be today, as I'm releasing this video. Um, he hated the month of February. I'm assuming because of his birthday, or he just other reasons. I don't really know. Um, he never really liked the month of February, and now it I don't like it either. It's the every year I get pretty depressed about you know everything that happened um, on those days, and because his month that now has become mine, and it's other days other years it kind of gets easy. Other times it when I think about it, it gets hard. Um, but I hope I don't know. It's it's not an easy thing to talk about. Um, I mean, I've told people about it and I seem to do fine, but I don't know. I don't know what it is for here. Maybe I'm just doing this so I can get views, and that's possible. I don't know. Um, but I even remember I had a dream once that involved my dad, where I don't remember how the dream is because my dream gets all crazy. Oftentimes, my dreams are crazy. Um, but it ended up with me in the theater um, with unknown faces around, and next to me is my dad who just smiled at me and said nothing, and just we were looking at a movie. I don't know if it was The Perks of Being a Wallflower, but it was a movie. It was just something we're watching, and that's when I wake up crying, and that's one dream I won't forget. At least the last few minutes of it, but um, I don't know. But that's why I want to do this. I thought I saw that my release days are was today was on the 20th, which is as 20th, and which is a Friday. That was my release schedule, and I want to do something special because this would have been his. I'm sorry. Um, this because this would be his birthday today, and that's why this movie is so special to me. Because every time I watch it, I think about my dad, about the time we saw this together, and you know how we felt during the film. So that's why I'm giving Perks of Being a Wallflower 5 stars across the board. Um, so, um, have you? I'm sorry. Have you seen Perks of Being a Wallflower? Have you read the book? What do you think of the book and the movie together? Leave in the comments and below, like or dislike the review if you wish. Feel free to subscribe to my channel if you like what you're seeing, and I will see you in the next review. And Dan, um, if you're watching, I know you probably are watching. Maybe I don't know. I'm not religious. I'm not very religious, but I'm not an atheist either. Well, I certainly hope you're you're doing great. I certainly hope you're doing. Hope you have a I probably should just say happy birthday, Dad. I miss you a lot.